Where are we? What time is it? It's 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock. Here we go. Hello, how you doing? Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. Welcome to the festive Christmas live stream. Let's hope it's all working. I've got it set up on my phone, which is over here, so I can check. I can actually see myself on the thing. I'm sure it's going to appear in a moment. There's probably some sort of delay. So yeah, welcome to the festive live stream. We're going through all the things that happened this year. I've got my festive advocate, which is the closest. Yeah, there I am. That's working. Let's just turn that off. It's the closest you can get to eggnog without sounding racist. Man, I respect any man, any white man this Christmas who'll be queuing up at a bar and is willing to shout across the bar, "Can I have an eggnog?" Because that is a phrase. If you get that wrong in certain parts of Britain, you are going to jail. You're going to jail, or you're getting beaten up by the Nation of Islam. So yeah, it's nice to be here with got my eggnog, got my lavender water bottle, got everything I need to see me through the next bit. I wonder if there's any more racist drinks. I wonder what other products have been hammered just by the fact that they've now their name has now got some sort of connotation. Like we were talking, I think last week, about Mr. Brain's pork sausage parcel things. We can't say the word; it'll get pulled off YouTube. Probably can't even say eggnog, but there's got to be other ones as well. Anyway, let's have a look. Let's have a look at what we're going to be talking about today. Oh, that's not it. Actually, I'm gonna start with we've got lots of things to get through. We've got the heroes of the year. We've got the villains of the year. We've got the year's biggest calamity. We've got the elite panic moment, and we've got the top 5 things that gave us hope. And we've got the predictions for next year. Before I start, there's somebody who's saying they were at the Free Speech Union gig last night, which I was on. I opened. Then it was I think Toby Young did a spot, and then Andrew Lawrence closed the show. Great comedian, lives up the road from me. We're doing a work in progress show together in Southampton on January the 9th. But Dominic Frisby was hosting, and he did a joke, and the person there, they commented in the Patreon thing. They said he did a joke about AIDS. that didn't make sense, but everybody else laughed, and it's been troubling them. And I know this sort of thing, you know, once this wedge gets into your brain, like starts splitting, you know the seam down the middle of your brain, just gets in there and starts splitting that cavern, that Mariana Trench of useless information. You know, you get fixated on it. So I was thinking back to it because I wasn't really paying attention because I was about to go on. So I was just, you know, I could hear what he said. Then because he spoke about AIDS, I spoke about AIDS when I got up as well because, you know, nothing's better for a Christmas gig than talking about AIDS. Because I know, like, I actually know a guy who's got AIDS. Well, he doesn't have AIDS. There's Wolfie Dog UK. Great to see you, Wolfie Dog. There's a guy who's got HIV in Scotland that I know. Don't know him well. Well, I know him, but he doesn't like me. He's another comedian. There's not many Scottish comedians that like me. But he's got HIV and he's fat. He's a fat shit. And it's like, man, like, this is where we are with AIDS now. Like, AIDS is probably the only thing keeping him alive. AIDS is working in symbiosis with his body. If it wasn't for the AIDS, he'd be like so obese. He'd need to be like carried out of a building on a forklift truck. You know, one of those, that level of fat. As it is with the AIDS, it's just keeping him, because it is nature's Ozempic, it's just keeping him at a regular sort of fat guy level. So really, this is how unhealthy Scotland is. Scotland is so unhealthy. The Scottish diet is so unhealthy. You can have AIDS and be healthier. But yeah, so this person who was at the gig, the Free Speech Union gig, was talking about Dominic's joke, and I remember it was something about showing gratitude. And then he's at the doctor, and the doctor says, "You've got AIDS," and so Dominic's like, "Thanks." I think the joke is just that you shouldn't really be that grateful. You shouldn't be that grateful. Probably shouldn't be that grateful that I told you that, the reason behind that. But there we go. Anyway, let's start off with a bit of humbug. Wait, here we go. Gratitude lists. Wrapped around a stone, under pillow, woke up 4 weeks later with AIDS. What's it mean? No idea. Yeah, what does that mean? That was the bit. Now I remember it. Gratitude lists, wrapped around a stone, under a pillow, woke up 4 weeks later with AIDS. I don't get it either. I don't understand that either. And it's possibly just me and that person on this stream right now. No, there's more people on. I'm not going to say the number. We're in single digits. But yeah, who knows what Dominic was talking about? I'm going to see him very soon, so I'll ask him. Maybe I'll get him on one of these streams, and we can get to the bottom of it. Get to the bottom of his AIDS joke. Maybe it just didn't make sense. I've noticed with comedians, sometimes you can just say something with the right cadence, the right tonality that sounds like it's a joke, and people will laugh anyway. So yeah, just before I start, I'm just gonna run round there and press record on my camera. Oh my god, if I can do it without dragging everything down. There we go. That's the sort of slick production that you don't get on the Tucker Carlson show, on something where he's got producers and stuff like that. I am literally. I wish I could pick this up and show you around the studio, because it's just me. It's just me in here, just me with my small and gradually warming glass of eggnog. Or Advocat, if there's a difference, which is warm. Advocat is really, that's quite an acquired taste. When people say white people don't season their food, it's like, man, have you had some of the things that we drink and we eat? Have you had English mustard? Have you had Worcester sauce? Have you had horseradish sauce livening up a beef? Have you had warm Advocat on a July evening when you've been drinking all day and you think, I know what's going to make this headache worse, is some custard with petrol in it, and then you drink it and you feel terrible. Man, I swear to God, every year it gets thicker. A bit like me. Anyway, this is the humbug we're starting off with. Sainsbury's pulled a transphobic Christmas card from their shelves because transgender people, or maybe allies, maybe some of the allies were complaining. They complained about this Christmas card that had, can you see it on the screen there? Of course you can. You got eyes. You're not listening on like shortwave radio. It's got a picture of the Grinch, And it says, "This Christmas, I'm identifying as a Grinch." Oh my God, what a horrifically offensive Christmas card. I mean, is there anything more brittle than a transgender woman's sense of identity? I mean, the slightest mockery and the fantasy comes crashing to the ground like a 20-stone trucker in high heels. Here's a Christmas cracker joke for you as well that you might like. Why are trans women so bad at football? Because they hardly ever pass. Because they look like blokes. Anyway, let's get stuck in to the heroes of the year. The heroes of the year. I'm going to start with Donald Trump. We've got Trump's best moments. I mean, he might not be a total hero. I know he's had some ups and downs. He's not always the most diplomatic guy. Like, I don't think he's going to be invited to give a eulogy at the Rob Reiner funeral. You know, that family is probably taking him off the Christmas card list. But they had a bit of history, so, you know, I'm sure Rob wouldn't mind. But here are Trump's best moments of the year. And this is just 1 year, by the way. This is how good Trump is. They managed to fit this in. So here we've got him calling a journalist piggy, which is just great. Is it going to load? Who knows? Maybe I've got too many things running on my laptop all at once. Now, if I make that super big, is that going to look... No, I'm not going to make it super big. Oh my God. This is like a really souped up laptop, but because I've got everything running on it all at once, it's kind of chugging. Yeah, I've made it too big, and now I can't close it. Oh my God. There we go, I closed it. Now let's listen to it. This is going to go smoothly. Well, get it in the right position. Is that in the right position? That's kind of in the right... That'll do. That's in the right position. Come on, laptop. You can do it. I believe in you. Oh, come on, laptop. Come on, you can play this. Don't tell me I've got too many tabs open. I believe in you. Oh, my God.
I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason.
Here we go.
I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries, too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way.
Come on, laptop. Why didn't you do this in the test? Why are you doing it now? Why are you embarrassing me in front of my Patreons, laptop? If it was up to me, I'd pour a cool glass of eggnog over the keyboard right now. Come on. You can do it.
We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain, and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go.
Laptop. Come on. Just play the video. I know you can do it. There's like 2 seconds left. I can read the caption. I can even say it in Trump's voice. Doing it frame by frame.
Where they came from and fix it.
So basically, he's making some, but he was very criticized for that. He said, people who come from Somalia are they're coming from a garbage place or whatever, and it's a hellhole. But he's making some sort of valid points in there, and this is what I like about Trump. He's reached the point where he just doesn't care, and because we've got so many people in this country who've come from overseas, like Dr. Shola. She's come from Nigeria. She just all she does is slag off Britain, and it's like, if you hate it so much, like why are you here? And also, if you think that Somalians or whoever, built Britain, which they didn't. We kind of had a lot of it built by, the 1950s before the floodgates opened. If you think they built Britain, why didn't they build Somalia first? You know what I mean? Oh, it's very generous of them to come and build Britain before they built Somalia. If they built Britain, they could go back and build Mogadishu. They could turn it into this thriving international capital. But they're not going to do that. They're just going to stay here and complain. I think it's the complaining that gets on people's nerves the most. If there's one rule I could bring in, it's like instant deportation for anybody who complains. If you've come here from like somewhere else and you moan about it, like, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? The door works both ways. So it's like going to a party and hating the party. You can leave the party. And, then maybe everybody will be happy. Maybe we'll help with the airfare so you can live your best life in Liberia or Wakanda or wherever you want to go to. This wasn't the only great Trump moment. He also went back to his old comment about third world migration. Let's see if this plays. This will be interesting.
To announce a permanent pause on third world migration, including from hellholes like Afghanistan, Haiti, Somalia, and many other countries. I didn't say shithole, you did.
I shouldn't have moved the mouth. It just broke it.
Remember I said that to...
Oh my God. See, I did run through and everything worked fine. And now for some reason...
came in, the Democrats...
Just because I've got 20,000 tabs open, like it's fallen over. But yeah, basically
wanted to be bipartisan. So they came in and they said, this is totally off the record. Nothing mentioned here. We want to be honest because our country was going to hell. And we had a meeting. And I say, why is it we only take people from shithole countries, right? Why can't we have some people from Norway, Sweden, just a few? Let us have a few. From Denmark, do you mind sending us a few people? Send us some nice people, do you mind? But we always take people.
Yeah, so basically saying like, they want to improve the migration. I want to improve the quality of my laptop streaming. That's what I want to improve. Every week, I battle with the demons of technology. And every week, something new goes wrong. You know what I mean? And I don't even have Lewis here to blame it on. If Lewis Schaefer was here, I could be like, well, this is clearly something to do with Lewis's kitchen. There was also an amazing, and this, by the way, this is the Dell top of the line laptop, like the shiny one. You know what I mean? Not even just the one that like does stuff really fast. It does stuff really fast, and it looks shiny. It's the top of the line executive board member. That guy's laptop, and it's still chugging. So not Lewis, although I do get them mixed up sometimes. Donald Trump also called a reporter piggy, which was very, very funny. And it didn't go down well with certain parts of the media. I'm wondering if I can close some tabs and get this to work better. But basically when he was talking about, I just wanted to say about, when he was talking about shithole countries, he's saying, why don't we get people from Sweden? It's like, man, you sort of missed that boat, Donald. Like, if you had people coming from Sweden, they'd be worse than the people coming up through, El Salvador, coming through Mexico at the moment. Because the thing that I think a lot of Americans don't realize is they get a much sort of higher quality of immigration than we do. We get people from, really quite radically alien, medieval, violent, misogynistic places. They've got some downsides as well. Like, we get people from Afghanistan, the Horn of Africa, all through the Middle East and Africa, and anything with a stan on the end. Like, we get a bunch of them, and consequently we get huge numbers of widespread issues with grooming gangs and things like that, and even just like the little things, like the little things that make a society more of a frictionless, fun place. I tried buying a house off a guy from Oman, and oh man, was it a shit show. It was like the guy just had to screw me. like, even when it didn't benefit him in any way, he was just always, every turn, he'd be like trying to, it's like, oh, can we have the certificate for the boiler? And he'd like send us some that wasn't the certificate for the boiler. And then it's like, oh, you don't have a certificate for the boiler? And he's like, and then he's like trying to like, front us down and, be like, I'm not providing this, I'm not doing this, I'm not blah, blah, blah. And I just knew, like, it wasn't going to go well. And also, just from a karma point of view, I didn't want to give him my money. So even though we'd sunk thousands on solicitors and surveyors and all the rest of it, we walked away. And now I'm very happy. I should have spent that money on a laptop. But Trump also said this, which was very funny. Very funny.
Incriminating in the file,
Quiet piggy. It's so demeaning a word, isn't it?
It's vile, isn't it? It's properly vile.
Yeah.
And, if you were going to be childish about this, you could say, well, it's a portly little fat pot that is aiming his criticism at a...
Okay, my laptop's decided that's enough of that. Yeah, Emily Maitlis didn't like that. The liberal establishment didn't like that. I think it's funny, man. He's got, like, nobody is safe. I think, for a long time there was this sort of, people were held aloft on this, like fancy cloud of politeness. And when you got somebody like Trump, he batters through that house of cards of politeness just falls down. And he's just openly calling people piggy to their face. And because he does it like every day, he can't get done for it. Because as soon as you get upset at him for one thing, then he does something else. And so many times it's so funny, like calling a woman piggy. Like, and this is a woman who's no doubt studied at Harvard, desperately wants to be a journalist and, studied so hard and finally worked her way up as an intern, put the hours in and all the rest of them. And obviously a lot of white men would have got turned down for the jobs that she got airdropped into. But that's just the last decade for us. And then she finally gets to the big scoop, interviewing the president, and he's just like, quiet piggy. That's that's going to make you go on a diet. If anything's going to make you go on a diet, it's Donald Trump calling you piggy in front of the world. I can't believe the camera person didn't swing round just so we can get a glimpse, just so we can see, are those sausage fingers? Are those is that, are those arms busting out of that blouse? How fat are we talking? Can you see the collarbone? That's when I was doing internet dating. That was the one thing. Like, people are quite good at hiding their fatness, and you can't always trust that they're going to have HIV to slim them down. So you'd look for certain things. The fingers, the collarbone. If you can't see a collarbone, well, where's it gone? That was my rule. And it did me very well. I shudder to think what red flags I was putting out on these dating sites. Probably a lot worse than having sausage fingers. Let's move on. I'm not going to play this video because I think the reason videos aren't playing is because, like, there's too many tabs open. So I'm going to come back. I'm going to look at it later. For now, I'm going to look at this guy who's one of my heroes of the year. It's Graham Linehan. The Irish comedian, comedy writer, creator of Father Ted, probably the greatest sitcom of all time, but certainly up there. And also the creator of the IT Crowd and various other things. And he was arrested on his return to Heathrow for 3 tweets. So the first post from his Twitter said that if a trans-identified male is in a female-only space, he is committing a violent, abusive act. Make a scene, call the cops, and if all else, punch him in the balls. That's a funny thing. He then wrote in his Substack that during his police interview following the arrest, he explained to the police that the punch tweet was a serious point made with a joke and that it was about the height difference between men and women and certainly not a call to violence. I think it's fine if it's not, even if it's not a sort of a joke about the height difference between men and women. It's okay to, if a man's in a woman's space, punching him in the balls. It's a funny thing because there shouldn't be any balls in a woman's space. You know what I mean? And out of respect for women, I'm staying out of women's spaces, like the kitchen. But anyway, I'll leave the comedy to Graham. The second post that he got literally arrested for, like by armed police at Heathrow. The second post, a Twitter post, appeared to be an aerial shot of a group of protesters in a town centre. And he called it a photo you can smell. Because you can. You would be able to. You know what I mean? Like some of these trans activists. I don't know why they've chosen the weirdest ones, the smelliest looking ones to be the activists. It's like choosing, Greta to be the voice of climate change. Now anybody who's not mental is like, well, wait a minute. Like, maybe climate change, maybe this whole stuff is a load of bollocks because this little angry goblin who hates Israel is telling me about carbon. Maybe I need carbon. Maybe I'm not using enough carbon. Anyway, the third tweet that expressed Graham's views that he was arrested for said, I hate them. That's all it was. And he was referring to misogynists and homophobes. So he's talking about hating misogynists and homophobes. I thought that was the right thing to do. This is the thing with hate crime laws. That'll be something that Jess Phillips goes on TV and says. She'll come out and be like, I hate misogyny, I hate homophobia, I hate misogynists, I hate homophobes. And everybody will be like, oh, well done, Jess, that's absolutely right. That's absolutely right, yeah, we hate misogynists and homophobes. But then Graham Linehan says it, and all of a sudden he's the bad guy. He's the bad guy because he said that he hates people. This is the thing with hate speech laws. They're so vague. They're so opaque. It's all dependent on what the victim, they're not a victim, it's somebody who's decided to be a victim, what they feel like. Do they feel offended? Do they feel hurt? Do they feel that their identity's been questioned? Then you've committed a crime. So Jess Phillips says it, gets a round of applause. Graham Linehan says it, straight to jail. Well, he didn't go to jail because he was arrested, and then they were like, well, wait a minute, we can't lock up this guy over tweets. This is, this guy's famous. We can do it to Lucy Connolly. We can do it to people like that. Jamie Michaels, we can do it to him. We can't do it to, Peter Lynch, we can do it to him, but, this is going to be really bad optics for us if we lock up Graham Linehan. Everybody's going to get involved, including me, because I work with him sometimes. So they decided not to, so he's still a free man. He's still a free man walking around tweeting. They got him on something else. They apparently, criminal damage or something, because he got in a scuffle with some sort of transgender protester. Anyway, that's that one done. Hey, it works a lot better when there isn't a video playing. I think those videos are going to play better. I should have kept them at the end. The trouble is, you know what the trouble is with news websites these days? It's just stuffed, rammed with stuff. You know what I mean? A whole fairgrounds worth of the internet crammed into the Mirror, the Daily Mirror page. I've got a tantalizing gelée thing, a Purina gourmet thing, 20% off apparently. I'm not sponsored by them. I don't approve of cat food. And also, when it's held in aspic, like it's some sort of, Victorian banquet, they're bringing it out at Downtown Abbey. The diced ham, the diced boiled, whatever cats eat. What is it? It's probably like sheep testicles or something like that. All boiled down till it forms into corned beef, corned testicles, and then they put it in jelly. I don't approve of that. I don't approve of cats. I'm not a cat guy. I know some people like cats. I think the big ones are cool. The ones that run around. Occasionally, kill a mentally ill person in a zoo arena, or a magician on stage at Las Vegas. Remember when Siegfried and Roy? Remember when their tiger, who'd been this white Siberian tiger, who'd been performing with them for 20 years or something, and one day it was just you know what? I've had enough. I've had enough of these two fancy prancing magician fannies, these German guys. I'm gonna eat them because I'm a tiger, and that instinct came back to him just like that. You know what I mean? Just like that. And it's like a third generation Syrian deciding to stab people. It's like the instinct just came back to him. The heritage came through, and he jumped on Siegfried or Roy. I've got no idea which one. And did he kill him? He almost killed him. Certainly bit him nastily. He was, that was the end of their performing career. You got to be careful with animals like that. People get tigers. They think, this is cool. They do the same with chimpanzees. Full-grown chimpanzee, incredibly dangerous animal. Rip your buttock off. And you know where that finger's going when it rips your buttock off. Anyway, my next hero is Bonnie Blue. She's supporting reform. That's not why she's my hero, though. I think it's funny that she's supporting reform. I mean, she's an entrepreneur. She's a self-starter. She goes out there. She makes money for herself, a lot of money for herself. But at what cost? She's supporting reform, and reform didn't say, sorry, we don't take hoes, we don't take slags. They were like, yeah, fine. Everybody deserves political representation. I thought that was very forward thinking of them. No, I'm not saying Bonnie Blue's a hero for that. I'm saying Bonnie Blue is a hero for her efforts in dismantling all the hard work that feminists have done over the last century. I mean, there's no way anyone can argue completely that giving women 100% autonomy has been absolutely 100% a complete success when she's got the autonomy. She's using that autonomy to get driven around London in a glass box with men sticking their willies in. You know what I mean? That's not how that was envisaged. That's not how it was sold to us. When Emmeline Pankhurst, when the suffragettes were asking to be treated as equals, they weren't like, give us freedom so we can do horrific harm to ourselves and society, and probably the men as well, because it's for some reason Bonnie Blue, is it Bonnie Blue or is it the other one, goes after like students, like 17-year-olds, and it's like that's kind of weird, It's weird. It's like a reverse of the usual pornography. Not that I watch it. I've all just got it memorized. I memorized several VHS cassettes in 1998, and that's doing me. Also, I like Bonnie Blue because she's a reminder that she could only get started in Britain. She's a reminder that Britain's a civilized society. Because she could only get started in Britain because we just love to queue so much. And if you can't form a queue, you can't form a civilized society. Look at when they hand the aid out, when they go into Sierra Leone or something. They're all just mobbing the trucks. No, we form a queue to pump Bonnie Blue. And I bet she only had, she pumped like 1,000 guys in one day. I bet she probably only had like 5 guys booked in. And then like other guys were walking past and they were like, oh, a queue. I'm just going to join it just because of my love of queuing. Because I'm so civilized. That's why I love her. She's a reminder of what made Britain great. Not just our women being a bit loose. It's queuing. Queuing is why we are great. But I was also reading about the impact that the pornographication of society has had on young women. So the Guardian were saying it's had a huge impact. Like, young women are growing up feeling that they've got to have sex with more men than they feel comfortable with, have sex with older men than they usually would, and do things purely for the man's sexual pleasure. And I assume later on in the article there were some downsides as well. But so many women are on OnlyFans these days. I'm actually going to launch a service called OnlyFathers. They can pay me £5 a month, and I will pop up in a suit and tie on Zoom and tell them that I'm proud of their life choices. That is going to be if the Patreon doesn't work out, I'll use the same tech. And I'll pop up and eventually, after a lot of stuttering and closing browser windows, I'll tell them I'm proud of their life choices. But yeah, apparently, like, young women, I think young men as well, are going through, mental health crisis. I read that apparently 75% of liberal women in London have been treated for a mental health condition, which, I mean, that's a terrifying statistic. 75% of liberal women have been treated for a mental health issue. That means that 25% of them are walking around completely untreated. This is appalling. But if you want to know about anxiety, the kids these days are all, oh, I've got anxiety. It's like, well, shut up about it first. Have you tried just like pretending you don't have it until it goes away? But also, anxiety. You want to know about anxiety? Like, when I was your age, if I wanted to watch pornography, I had to put a VHS cassette into a video player in the living room and try and masturbate, like waiting to hear my dad's key in the door. And then if the key does turn, I've got to somehow like eject a video, open the curtains, get my trousers on, and wipe up several surfaces in the 4.5 seconds that it takes him to cross the hall. That's anxiety. That is anxiety. No wonder British men are so sexually repressed and screwed up, when that's what we had to go through. Is this still working? Is it still working? Am I still streaming? I think it's still streaming. Let's see. I think it's still streaming. Let's try and close this. I can't believe it decided to all fall over just at the time. Just at the time I needed it. It didn't do it. It didn't do it before. Here we go. So this is... Can you see it? It's the villains of the year we're moving on to now. And I know, we've had villains, like literally Bob Villain is probably, if we're going to be honest about it, he's probably the number one villain. But this is more like fun villains. This is it's not George Aberronia. It's not Gary Lineker, who's still a fanny. It's not Deborah Meaden, who keeps, advocating for mass immigration from shithole countries, I think Trump would say, despite the fact that Deborah Meaden lives in a castle millions of miles away from them. I'd be fine. All right, well, you know what? We're going to use a trebuchet. We're going to fire them into your castle ramparts, Deborah, if you think they're so great. Let's just make this a bit bigger, because here is the Blue Origin rocket that went up with, it had various celebrities in it, including Katy Perry. This is Katy Perry striking a blow for feminism. Well, they all said, it was an all-women crew. And like real women, they didn't have a woman like me there. Like, hopefully I'll be on the next one in my high heels and makeup and my fetching blue pantsuit. No, they said it was feminist, but they only got to go into space because one of them's shagging the guy who owns the rocket. You know what I mean? That's the opposite of feminism, you know what I mean? That's like, what sort of a message is that for young women? If you want to get somewhere, shag a man. That's not a good feminist message. And also, the way they were carrying on, they called themselves the crew. The crew. Do you think Katy Perry's driving the little got the little steering wheel on the space rocket? No, you're not the crew. You're ballast. You're essentially... It would have been great if Shirley Ballast was still alive. Maybe she is still alive, and she could have gone. But they were ballast. They were just there. They had a weight distribution. They had a weight distribution, and also you just know for a fact that the mission control, the guys sending them into space, it's all middle-aged white guys. Probably a lot of Chinese and Indians as well, but, there's middle-aged white guys. It's not going to be all women at mission control. The women are on the thing, looking pretty for the cameras, looking kind of pretty. I mean, there's a lot of work done there, a lot of filler. They could probably survive in space without a spacesuit. So the crew was, I'll give you a list. There was Gail King, a TV journalist. There's Lauren Sanchez, who's a journalist and pilot and organised the flight. That's Lauren Sanchez. She's shagging Jeff Bezos. I think they got married now, didn't they? And I think, wasn't she like chewing the ear off Leonardo DiCaprio? And, I don't know, maybe this rocket trip, for a moment when it went up, because rocket trips are still kind of dangerous, I thought, this is Jeff Bezos. He's going to get Lauren Sanchez. He's going to get his wife for flirting with Leonardo DiCaprio. The same way that Putin got Prigozhin for betraying him in Ukraine. Remember, what was his first name? Well, Prigozhin was his last name, Evgeny or something. Prigozhin, he was the leader of Wagner. Not the guy who won Britain's Got Talent, like Wagner, the sort of mercenary group that essentially became part of the armed forces of Russia. And I think they took Bakhmut and Avdiivka, these cities that were really difficult to take, but Wagner could do it because they had absolutely zero morals whatsoever. And they took guys from jail and just like gave them a gun and pointed them at it, and eventually just wore down the defences. So I thought maybe this is what he's doing. He's sending Lauren Sanchez up into space and she's not going to come back down, and you're just going to see Jeff Bezos smoking a cigar. But no, he didn't. Then there's Aisha Bo, who's a former NASA rocket scientist and aerospace engineer. Fair enough, she's got legit credentials. And then there's Amanda Nguyen, a bioastronautics researcher and civil rights activist. How can you be both things? Oh, you know what that is? That's because academia and science and everything is so, like, post George Floyd, it's so, like, oh, tell me about your lived experience. What have you done to really change the world and bring diversity and representation and inclusion? So she had to become a civil rights activist. All she wants to do is the bioastronautics research. That's her main thing. And that's Nguyen. I think that's a Vietnamese name. Probably, diligent. Doesn't give a shit about the civil rights stuff. But she had to do it. She had to do it to get a seat on the plane. And then there's also Carrie Flynn, who's a film producer. Some of the quotes from the women are funny. Lauren Sanchez said, "I don't really have the words for this. Like, I can't put it into words, but I looked out the window and we got to see the moon." That's kind of charming. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, if I was getting to go into space, I'd prepare something, you know? And I'd prepare it better than I prepared this stream. I've been preparing all day for this stream. I could do like a 5-hour stream with all this stuff I've prepared. We won't get through half of it, but unfortunately there's nothing I can do to prepare a laptop to work properly when it's been working properly all day. You know what I mean? Katy Perry had some nice quotes as well. She said, "I feel super connected to love." I think there's more from her in a moment. Gayle King said, "I am so proud of me right now." Oh, you go, girl. I mean, is there anything worse when somebody claps themselves, like pats themselves in the back, applauds themselves? Gail said, "This was not a ride. This was a bona fide freaking flight. You look down at the planet and you think, that's where we came from?" Yes, indeed. Well, it sounds like they're learning the basics of astronautics here. You know, learning the who goes where in the solar system. You know, I mean, I learned that. I think that was first year of primary school. Lauren Sanchez also said, "Life takes off on the other side of fear. All these women are storytellers in their own right." Now that's a bit she prepared. Life takes off on the other side of fear. That's like when you get a posh advert. Life takes off on the other side of fear. Louis Vuitton luggage, something like that. And there's backlash apparently. That fired up Sanchez. Amanda Ngoyan said, "It's about time. It's a dream come true, and for me it was a dream deferred." A dream deferred. And Carrie Flynn said, "It was the most incredible experience of my life. Katy Perry kissed the ground." Let's find this picture, you know, for no reason other than to see Katy Perry bent over. Let's see if this even works. I've got a feeling it's is it going to scroll down? I can't believe it's actually working. No. Where's the picture of? I just want to see Katy Perry bent over. We're in 2025, and a top-of-the-range laptop can't show me a picture of Katy Perry bent over. What is going on? There she is. She is bent over. She was married to Russell Brand, by the way. I know you knew that, but you know, it's worth reminding ourselves. At one point, Russell Brand was like a Hollywood star, doing proper Hollywood movies, and not anymore. So let's remember some of the other things from the year. Angela Rayner cried. You know what? I'm going to go back to this video because I've got a feeling Facebook is like just the most mega bloated platform. And Facebook is actually the reason nothing else is working. So I'm going to play this video. I'm going to talk about this. And then we're going to close Facebook. And then everything's going to magically work. This is one of my heroes of the year, by the way. Let's see this. Not the guy sitting on the ground. We'll just wait until you see it. Oh, man. Is it going to let us see it? Man.
Right round, did you know? So when he went round, did you know what he's been caught doing? Yeah, her husband just caught him with his dick out wanking in front of the wife. So this is what happens when you go around wanking with your dick out in public. Husbands might get the hump and come and bash your head in. Yeah? You'll keep your dick in your pants, won't you? You're gonna keep your dick in your fucking pants, you dirty nonce. Yeah? You got bashed for a reason. See that fucking face? That's what a pedo looks like. Her husband got you good, didn't he? Yeah. I'm fucking glad he did, you dirty pedo. Looking at his kids through the fence, wanking. Looking through the fence at his children, wanking, were you? You dirty, rotten nonce. They should fucking leave you where they found you. You keep that dirty dick of yours in your pants, yeah? You fucking nonce.
You know what, Greg? I'll probably get banned from. I didn't realise he kicked him at the end. That'll probably get me in trouble with someone. Because yeah, you know who got in trouble there. You know who got in trouble? So that's, you know, some migrant guy allegedly caught masturbating in a family's yard, looking through the window, looking at the wife or the kids or something. And then the migrant was confronted by the dad. That's why the migrant's looking a bit, you know, the worse for wear. So guess who's being investigated? Do you think it's the dad who caught this guy looking through the window and masturbating? Or do you think it's the migrant? It's the dad. It's the dad who like defended his family. The dad who did what any man would do is getting investigated. And this is why, you know, I've lost all faith in our establishment, in our government to actually do the right thing by us, because every turn the law like rewards or excuses behavior like that and clamps down on the dad who's doing what the services should be doing. The police should be getting that guy, roughing him up, sending him wherever, deporting him. But they don't. Instead, he gets like an Arts Council grant and he gets told what a wonderful person he is, and Deborah Meaden, thinks he's great. It's not on. It's not on. And this is playing out across the country, and nothing is more radicalizing than reality. Anyway, I've got a feeling that now that I've closed some tabs, things are working more smoothly. I think it was Facebook. I think I'm never going to have a Facebook video again. So this is another one of my villains of the year. This is Angela Rayner. That's not Angela Rayner. That's somebody speaking to Angela Rayner. Let's see what Angela Rayner says. This is while Labour were telling us to tighten our belts and be kind and pay more tax to help needy men, like that guy from the Horn of Africa or Afghanistan or whatever who's been masturbating through the window. While they're doing that, they were trying to avoid as much tax as possible themselves. Let's look at this. This is from August 2025 when it was revealed that Angela Rayner, who's at that time the Deputy Prime Minister, had underpaid around £40,000 in stamp duty land tax on an £800,000 flat she bought in Hove in East Sussex. And then she went on TV and cried about it. Let's see.
As a mum, not as Angie Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister, where you thought, I'd rather just quit this than have to actually explain about my...
Oh, fuck me. Are you serious? It's not going to play?
My son, who I'm trying...
Ah. My God, why is it not play? You know what? Why is it not playing? I'm going to open Taskmaster. Not Taskmaster, Task Manager. What's it doing? What is making it drag so much? System interrupts. Now OBS Studio is using 46% of the memory. Google Chrome. Maybe I've still got too many tabs open. Let's close this one. See if does that make any difference? Maybe it's that one. Is that enough? Now have I brought my system down? My supposedly mega top of the range system? Have I brought it down to the right level? Right, let's watch this now. Actually, let's look at some of your comments first. Paul Yoward says this is a callback to when I was talking about doing the Only Fathers thing. And I was saying it would be jerky like this. He's saying it would be jerky, unironically, because of course you'd be jerking. And Paul also says, hey, I can see the moon out the window. Yes. Just like the woman on the spaceship. Anyway, let's see if this is going to work. Is this going to work now? Come on, laptop.
To protect. Did you think about just packing it in rather than having to do this now?
I spoke to my family about it. I spoke to my ex-husband, who has been an incredibly supportive person, because he knows that all I've done is try and support my family and help them.
Like, you did think about, should I pack it in for the sake of the family, but your family are backing you to come out today and explain this.
The number one priority for me and my ex-husband has always been to support our children and do the best thing for our children.
Just to be
right, that's clear. Enough of that.
You've referred yourself to the stand.
I'm going to pause that. Is that paused or is it just broken? The thing that annoys me about this is, like, she's going on TV, she's crying, she's being like, all I've done is try and support my family. I'm just trying to get the best deal, keep, the wealth in the family, keep, houses, roofs over the head for my family. All anyone tries to do is try and support their own family. But the thing is, the government gets in the way and says, oh, you must give me 108% of your income to buy rainbow butt plugs for Eritrean jihadis who hate you. It's like the Tories believe in, or they used to anyway, believe in just like looking after your own family and then looking after people outside that, looking after people having a society that people help each other. Labour have come in and been like, oh, the state is going to look after you, even though they've done a terrible job. Like, oh, look how well the state care homes looked after working class girls in Rotherham. You know what I mean? It's disgusting. This is what we don't. This is why I'm right wing, because I want to look after my family. I don't want to give Angela Rayner lots of tax to look after other people's families when they're not working or whatever, or when they've just come here to freeload. Like, that's my attitude. But I don't pretend to be left wing. I don't pretend to be deputy leader of the Labour Party. And the tax underpayment arose because she had declared the property she was buying as her main residence, which qualified for a lower tax rate, even though her previous family home was held in a trust for a disabled son, which HMRC rules treat as an interest for tax purposes. I don't understand any of this. I mean, this is the thing. Like, she's the person setting the rules. She was Secretary of State for Housing, Communities and Local Government. So housing stuff came under her. Maybe not tax stuff, but certainly, housing stuff. This is a housing tax. So how can she, if she doesn't understand the rules, how am I supposed to understand the rules? I'm not the politician in charge of the rules. Doesn't this show that we need to, simplify all our tax stuff, all our regulations? I'm going to be doing my self-assessment tax return on the 31st of January, like everybody else. The last day that you can possibly do it. Do you think if I'm 40 grand out, they'll be like, oh no, that's absolutely fine. Oh, just a simple mistake. Yes, the tax is very complicated. No, I'd get dragged over the coals. I'd have to go to prison or whatever. I don't know. So this flat she was buying was technically a second property, so it triggers a higher rate of tax, and that's a higher rate of tax that left-wing policy advisors brought in, either for the Tories or for Labour. I mean, there's no difference between them anymore. And she said, this is the other thing that gets me. She said she consulted with tax advisors, as if that's an excuse. It's that's not an excuse. Nobody consults with tax advisors to make sure they pay the maximum amount of tax. You consult with tax advisors to try and find out if there's a way you can get round paying tax. So that's what Angela Rayner's trying to do. She's trying to get round paying tax. But we've got to pay the tax. Labour have got to put the taxes up and we've all got to pay them. Man, it's disgusting. It's like that tiger that tried to eat Siegfried and Roy telling you to eat broccoli. It's how come you get to eat a gay magician? It's just ridiculous. Well, she's resigned, but she's undoubtedly going to be back because she is one of Labour's most popular people. Not just because of all the left-wing stuff, but also, frankly, she's popular with a lot of single mums who also like to fiddle the benefit system. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing. We've got the This Can't Be Real headline award. There's a George Floyd movie coming. Are you excited? We're going to see the George Floyd movie. This is a feature film centered on the life and legacy of George Floyd, being developed by Hollywood Studios in collaboration with Floyd's family, marking a cultural production tied to one of the most historic moments in recent US history. Let's have a look at the imagery for this. That's very nice. The project is titled Daddy Changed the World. It's been announced as a family-authorised biographical drama that will portray Floyd's personal journey, as well as the circumstances of his 2020 death under Minneapolis police restraint that sparked global protests. I mean, it was under police restraint. It was kind of also under quite a lot of fentanyl. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Everybody's like, oh, the fentanyl didn't have anything to do with it. Oh, what's the safe amount of fentanyl that I should be taking then? You know what I mean? To improve my cardiovascular performance. And honestly, I got some sympathy with them. I'm not one of these guys who's like, George Floyd is a total monster. I think he's a bit of a monster. He was part of a gang that held up a pregnant woman and robbed a pregnant woman. I mean, that's nasty. You know what I mean? But he's actually, yeah, that on its own, that's pretty nasty. Maybe he was a horrible guy. Certainly a strange person to pick as a hero. You know what I mean? It's like after Savile dying, everybody deciding he's a hero because he ran some marathons. It's like, no, he did bad stuff. There's all the crime and stuff like that. But George Floyd is also a victim of lockdown because he worked as a nightclub bouncer, and then when COVID came along, all the nightclubs shut, so he couldn't work as a bouncer anymore. So then he's hustling, trying to pass off fake, $20 bills, and doing crime stuff, doing drugs. And then he gets killed while being held, but killed. He dies. I don't think he was killed, and I think Derek Chauvin is probably an innocent guy, and really shouldn't be in prison. I think people are going to look back and be like, wow, I can't believe you actually locked up Derek Chauvin, whatever his name is. Anyway, this project is being used. It's being developed by Radar Pictures, 8 Queens Film and Media Productions, and the project remains in search of a director, but has already secured an experienced screenwriter. Pardon me, Gregory R. Anderson, who's already known for writing Stomp the Yard. Well, this is going to be stomping something else, is crafting the screenplay aiming to depict Floyd as a multifaceted individual rather than a simplified emblem. Integral to the project's development, Floyd's daughter Gianna and his mother Roxy Washington are serving as executive producers, signalling the family's continuing control over how his story is told. Statements from Washington emphasize that the film intends to highlight Floyd's humanity, including his warmth, humour and personal relationships, such as the woman he violently threatened while robbing her with a gun, while also tracing how his tragic death influenced calls for policing reforms. Yeah, a lot of people were like, it was interesting. Loads of people were like, defund the police. And then, some places did defund the police quite a bit. And then some of those people who called for the police to be defunded were then killed by violent criminals, which, obviously I take no pleasure in that. But I take less displeasure in it than if, somebody who didn't want to defund the police was killed, is all I can say about that. Also, I love how the BLM thing, I need to do a video about BLM because it was such a sort of like a drama of, you just knew this opera of grift. You knew the trajectory it was on. As soon as they came out and they had these we don't have leaders or structures or anything like that. And it's like, well, where's the money going then? Like, if you don't have, it's going in somebody's pocket. All this money you're raising, all these different fundraising, and like they raised billions. There's the main woman, Patrice Couleurs, but there's loads of little ones. I should have set one up. I should have said, hey, I'm Cheddar Man. I'm the blue-eyed black man, the original gangster. Give me some of your money. And watch the BLM money roll in. Because that money, I love it. Patrice Couleurs, she did the same thing as Angela Rayner. She bought all these nice mansions and stuff with the donations. And then people were like, wait a minute, you bought nice mansions for your family, and she's like, oh yeah, but I really feel that it's important to look after your own family, and and they're black, and it's like, man, everybody thinks that it's important to look after your own family. That's not what BLM's about. BLM's about equity and balancing everything out, not just like getting a few lucky, like, hey, you're lucky, your brother's your sister's Patrice Couleurs. You get to live in a nice mansion. That's not how it works. And she also had her ex-boyfriend, or baby daddy, I believe they call it, baby daddy. It's a man who provided the DNA for the baby, but isn't around much. So the baby daddy, she gave him like a $1 million contract for providing security that wasn't necessary. Wasn't necessary because nobody's going to try and beat them up. It's like having a Scottish accent. Nobody messes with the Scottish accent. That's not true anymore. When I first moved to London, the Scottish accent was like having chainmail on. You know what I mean? Anybody started any trouble, you just go full Scottish on them. Oh, what the fuck you saying, pal? You know what I mean? And he was like, oh. Now, Scottish accent is nothing compared to, you've got the Somalian accent. You've got all these accents that are, probably a bit scarier than the Scottish accent. I'm relatively posh now in London. Anyway, the next crazy headline. Let's go and see it. Let's close that. Are we starting to speed up a bit? Oh, look at this. I need to open that up a bit so you can see the thing. I can't believe how smoothly my live stream is running now that I've closed some tabs. Oh, we've got some more comments. Penthouse Living says Angela Rayner should write children's books. She's good at making up stories. She should. And also there's a gap in the market now that Sarah Ferguson isn't allowed to do them anymore. Did you see the pictures? With Bill Gates, by the way? You're going to love this. Bill Gates. I'm just going to put Bill Gates in. Let's see if it comes. Here it is. Bill Gates with, don't put it behind a paywall. Financial Times, don't you have enough money already? You can kind of see it. It's still the Financial Times. You know what? I could open my my WhatsApp and show you the pictures that I've sent. Bill Gates. There's the picture. Here we go. So this is Bill Gates. This is one of the pictures. He's pictured with, is that some sort of, I believe the colloquial term is a brass. So this is part of the Epstein leaks. You know what? I'm gonna get it up on my WhatsApp like this, and then show you, because it's so funny. Let's have a look. Here's the other one. Looks even noncier. Just looks so noncy. Look at that one. Wait, it's still focusing on my eyes. You see that? I mean, that is like, look at the shoulder to waist ratio. That is like this sort of bloated middle-aged man with a clearly very young woman with suspicious blocked out features. I don't know. Like, apparently his wife left him because he was cheating on her, and this is the sort of cheating it was. Apparently, I know he's a billionaire. How many billions spending it trying to make the world a better place? Why don't you make the world a better place by not doing whatever you're doing there, Bill? Not that I'm saying you're doing anything. You've got a lot of money. You could sue me, but you've got a big smile on your face for some reason. I'm just saying, with these revelations coming out, it gives you sympathy for Prince Andrew, because he would have been on Epstein Island. Epstein Island, he looks one side, he's got like Bill Clinton. The other side, he's got Bill Gates. Straight ahead of him, there's Stephen Hawking getting wheeled around by a young maiden. And you'd probably think, yeah, this must be all right. I mean, if they're doing it, like, if they're doing it, I must be safe, So you weren't safe, Prince Andrew. I don't know how the other ones managed to stay safe. Maybe they didn't. Anyway, let's move on and talk about this. This was another story of the year. The Motability Scheme, which blew up. This is a scheme where people on benefits can get a car. And the trouble is, you can get disability benefits now for mental health conditions. And the trouble with mental health conditions is none of them exist, and they're all made up. Like depression. Have you tried being happier? Or just take the antidepressants. Fixes it. It's like antimatter meeting matter. The depression meets the antidepressant. Poof. Goes. It's like pesto meeting anti-pesto. Just that Italian meal. Vanishes. So there's depression. There's depression. I honestly don't see depression as an illness. Depression is kind of like a valid reaction to being aware of existence and being in this country where it's so cold and wet all the time. You're supposed to be running about in the savannah with no shoes on, like hunting buffalo and having a great time and making a fire and having a laugh. And instead, you're crammed into a damp concrete cubicle. And the screens around you that give you a light to the outside world just show you how awful things are. Who wouldn't be depressed? It's a natural thing. It's a normal thing. Just you should use it. You should use your depression as a spur to make so much money that you can go on holiday with Jeffrey Epstein and cheer up. No, all right. There's depression. Depression is a valid one. But then you've got stuff like ADHD. And autism. And I get that, like, autism, some people have got, like, real autism. But, like, a lot of people don't have real autism, but still get diagnosed. Like, a lot of people I know, every comedian's been diagnosed with autism to give themselves, a thing to be a victim about while also being a white man. And, like, my mates Darius and Nico, they got diagnosed with ADHD. And it's just to get drugs. It's just to get the NHS grade speed for free instead of having to go and get drug dealer grade speed for money. So there's this Motability Scheme that anybody on disability benefits can get a car. They can put their disability benefits towards this car. I don't know how the system works. I should probably find out because I need a new car. And I'm pretty sure I've got autism. But apparently it wasn't just like, a bargain basement car, like one of those little, those little like smart cars or whatever, like one that, little naughty Toy Town car. I mean, it'll get you around, but it's not fun. You get luxury BMWs, Audis, and Mercedes using taxpayer money. My mate's dad, he's like registered blind. He got one of these. He got a nice like Mercedes SUV, and it's brand new because it's leased. And he got it like because he's registered blind, and obviously he's not driving it. It's so that his family can drive him around and get him places, and it just helps him out. But it's like, still, why is a blind guy getting a car? It just doesn't make any sense to me. You know what I mean? You've got, if he needs help getting stuff from the supermarket, they deliver. You don't need a car. Like, it's mad. Anyway. And this is at a time when, working families are being squeezed, they're being asked to pay more and more tax. And the welfare state is just splurging, spaffing up the wall. Billions a year. Apparently it's a quarter of the UK car market. Is on Motability cars. And people who defend the scheme say it's a tiny minority, and claimants topped up the cost themselves. Well, like the cost of my car. I don't just top up the cost. The whole cost of the car is on me. You know what I mean? I drive is it 12-year-old? It's 2014. Almost 12-year-old Audi. Honestly, great car. Great car. Touch wood. Great car. But I'd rather have a brand new Audi. I'd rather have a fancier Audi. You know what I mean? Mental. And the government has pulled premium brands from the scheme. So, it's sort of admitted it's drifted from basic mobility support into lifestyle subsidy. And this was at the budget where, Rachel Reeves really needed to sort of, make the case to British people that, all right, we're all having to tighten our belts, but, we've got to slash public spending, because we've got a huge amount of debt, and we've got to try and, limit the tax rises. And instead she's putting up the taxes, and it's like, oh yeah, no, you just can't have a Mercedes. It's like, man, so much money is just spaffed up the wall on welfare. A lot of welfare should just be ended. Not for, really deserving people, but, for people who aren't deserving, like pretty much everyone I know who's on welfare. And they all say the same thing. It's like, well, the system's broken. The system lets me do it. It's like, well, that's not the attitude we had in Britain 30 years ago. I don't know what changed. Well, maybe we had that attitude in Scotland, but people signing on in like 8 towns at once. But yeah, I mean, it's a program meant to help the disabled live independently, and it just becomes a system with no limits and no common sense and no regard for the public and how much money they've got. It's not even the craziest. I think the craziest stories were these two stories. So this is the homelessness minister having to resign after evicting her tenants. This is Rushanara Ali. Rushanara! She was accused of hypocrisy and resigned on the 7th of August as the government's homelessness and rough sleeping minister after reports said she told 4 of her tenants to leave her East London property on the basis that she was going to sell it. But then she relisted it for rent weeks later at £700 a month more. So, these are the people, Labour are the people who bring through all these rules to punish landlords and stop them doing this kind of thing. But before the rule comes in, she sees the rule coming down the line. She's in the meetings where it's discussed and she's like, damn, you know what? I'm a landlord. I've got some tenants. I better do something. I better get in before this rule that I'm creating comes through. That makes it really hard for me to evict them. I'm gonna evict them so I can get more money. And, obviously she was accused of hypocrisy because she's a housing minister involved in a government agenda of like renters reforms and, tackling exactly this kind of landlord behaviour, and sort of followed the law. But, she had to quit. So that's Rushanara Ali, the classic Somerset name, Rushanara Ali. And she had to rush down an alley. Anyway, moving on, we got another one. This is Tulip Siddiq. Tulips on my organ. This is Tulip Siddiq, an MP given a jail sentence in Bangladesh after a trial that was held in her absence. Because she was in this country you've guessed it, the anti-corruption minister. So Tulip Siddiq was convicted in Bangladesh in a trial held in her absence and sentenced to 2 years in prison plus a fine after prosecutors alleged she used her family link to the ex-prime minister Sheikh Hasina, who's her auntie, to help secure an illegal allocation of government land in Dhaka's diplomatic zone area for her family. Siddiq has denied wrongdoing, I mean they always do, calling it a politically motivated kangaroo court, and Labour has said she didn't get a fair legal process and they don't recognise the judgment. Well, this is terrible. This is racist against Bangladesh. I have absolute firm belief in the rigorousness and faithfulness to the law of the Bangladeshi legal system. I don't think there's a smidgen of corruption in Bangladesh, and it's absolutely disgusting that they're casting aspersions onto this conviction. And also, do we have an extradition treaty with Bangladesh? I think she needs to be extradited to Bangladesh to face her 2 years in prison. And also, if Labour are right, and they're saying Bangladesh is a corrupt place with corrupt institutions, well, what do you think happens when you bring people from Bangladesh, from places like Bangladesh, into places like Britain? We bring the culture as well. So that corrupt culture comes to Britain as well. I mean, why do they think places like Bangladesh are corrupt shitholes in the first place? If you moved the population of Norway to Bangladesh and moved the population of Bangladesh to Norway, like Bangladesh would become a very smoothly, efficiently functioning Nordic country with nice weather, and Norway would become the corrupt shithole. And we can see this happening in the UK, in places like Tower Hamlets, big Bangladeshi community, other places, Birmingham, these places where people give out government contracts, they get into positions of power, and it's not like I'm a conspiracy theorist here, like was it Lutfur Rahman had to be removed from office. He was like the head of the council or the MP or something. He had to be removed from office. And so he wasn't able to run for like 5 years. And you'd think, if somebody's been removed from office for corruption and the council's been taken into, whatever, special measures, whatever it is, you'd think they're not going to elect that guy again. But because people vote along like tribal, ethnic, demographic lines, he was voted in again. And, it's just incredible. So we've got that corruption. And then, the government contracts, the council contracts go out to the cronies, the pals, the families of the people who are elected. And, you see this money just siphoning out, just draining out. All the same way they do in Bangladesh. But obviously there's more money to do it with here because we're not a totally corrupt country yet. So look at what's happening to places like Tower Hamlets and Birmingham. And that's what's going to happen here. Now, is this still running? Somebody said silky smooth. Is it not silky smooth? I think it's kind of jerky. I thought this was going to be silky smooth. Like, honestly, when I set it up, because what was happening, I've got a really nice graphics card in this laptop, and, NVIDIA would probably love to have it back right now because they can use it for making, Bitcoin or AI or something. And, like, getting everything to run on the graphics card is good. But actually, I think I've got too many things to run in the graphics card. And I made a huge mistake doing that. And now the graphics card is falling over. But yeah, the biggest calamity of the year. Oh man, I've already done more than an hour, and I've got the whole like your party thing to get through. You know what? I'll do a special video on your party because they're an absolute joke. This is Corbyn and Sultana Brand's party, and it's all just falling apart. It's a complete shit show. It's lovely to see, frankly. So instead, what I'm going to talk about is the first Briton was white. So this is a woman who is recognised as the first black Briton by the BBC and was actually white, a new genetic study has shown. So in 2016, there's a series, probably BBC. Oh yeah, it's BBC. Black and British, A Forgotten History. And it suggested that the Roman skeleton of a woman found at Beachy Head was actually from sub-Saharan Africa. You can see a picture of her here, looking, she definitely looks black there. You can almost see you can see she doesn't have any headphones. So if she listens to her phone on the bus, that's not the only thing. They've also painted her black. But that's kind of like, it's like when they decide on the colour of a dinosaur. It's like, they're making it up. Who knows what colour the dinosaurs were? They've done it here. They painted her with Bovril. Turns out they were actually being racist because this is the first ever recorded historical instance of blackface. She didn't look like that. Do you want to know what she looked like? She looked like this. She looked like this. A woman from a council estate in Dumfries. That is what she looked like. With a slightly upturned nose. Kind of quite pretty for old days. 4'9" apparently. In case you're interested. Which is quite short, but I guess people are a lot taller now. Apparently that's why armour, because you look at armour, suits of armour, and you're like, that must have been so heavy to carry. But because people were so stout, like little, like dwarves. Like the dwarves in Lord of the Rings, not like, Peter Dinklage, but they're stout, so it's not so like if I wore armor because I'm all gangly, so that armor would just weigh me down. It'd be like putting on a praying mantis. But anyway, this series, BBC series, who'd have thought the BBC would have a series that rewrites our racial history like this? They had a plaque erected to commemorate her heritage, which had to be removed when a study suggested that the woman was more likely to be from Cyprus with a Mediterranean complexion, as we see here. And a new DNA analysis of the skeleton by scientists at the Natural History Museum has shown that the woman originated from southern England and was white, with blonde hair and light eyes. So, over the years since BLM, she's got whiter. She went from sub-Saharan African to Mediterranean, and now she's English. With light eyes and blonde hair. Dr. William Marsh, who carried out the genetic study, said, by using state-of-the-art DNA techniques, we were able to resolve the origins of this individual. We show she carries the genetic ancestry that is most similar to other individuals from the local population of Roman-era Britain. The claim about the skeleton's African origins was made in Professor David Olusuga's documentary series, which told the story of the enduring relationship between Britain and people whose origins lie in Africa. In episode 1, the beachy head woman... Beachy head. I'd quite like to have some beachy head. Anyway, the beachy head woman was presented as sub-Saharan African in origin, and the programme featured that reconstruction. That was just... Man, they basically Netflixed it. You know how, like, all of a sudden, Disney and Netflix just start remaking films, and it's like, but everybody's black for some reason. Like the Watchmen. Is it the Watchmen? They remade it and like everybody's black and it's kind of weird, and like stories about Vikings or the early man in Britain. Everybody's. I've got the kids book, just to confuse my child. They say that everybody was black, and this is just what it was. It was very fashionable for a while to just lie about science. So in the programme, Professor Olusuga remarked that she's a black Briton, while Joe Seaman, that's something you get if you have some beachy head, an expert archaeologist, explained that the woman's African origins and the age of her remains were likely to have made her the earliest black Briton. Except she was white. She was very, very white. They do this all the time. They do it with all kinds of things. It's not just race. They do it with transgenderism. They find like some woman who's buried with her husband's sword, and they're like, well, she was clearly a warrior. She must have been non-binary. Or they're like, oh, Joan of Arc was probably transgender or whatever. And it's like, you can't just take modern fads and just project them onto something else. This is why you can only trust. You can't really trust any historians, academics, or scientists anymore unless they're racist. You can only trust the historians, academics, and scientists who've been accused of some kind of bigotry. If a scientist or a historian has been accused of like transphobia or racism or homophobia or one of the other things from my comedy show, then you can trust them because you know that they're not telling a lie to stay like on the within the guidelines. If somebody's been accused of racism because they're saying that this woman's white, then you can trust that it's right, because otherwise they'd take the easy option of just being like, it's like that famous tweet, a black woman invented the telescope You might have evidence to the contrary. You might have evidence that a white man invented it or whatever, but does that really matter when you're going to lose your job? A black woman invented the telescope. So they've done this before as well with Cheddar Man. Cheddar Man. So they used Cheddar Man, who, you know, kind of was, there he is. You know, he kind of looks a bit like Rob Schneider. And they use Cheddar Man as another example of like, oh, well, early British people were black. There's a difference between, like, what black means now isn't just skin color. It's like, it's different. It means from sub-Saharan Africa, you know, or the Caribbean, which is, you know, from sub-Saharan Africa, or African American, which is from sub-Saharan Africa. It doesn't just mean somebody with darker skin. Like, the term black has a lot of cultural connotations, and that's really what it means, more than the actual, you know, whatever, the DNA, ethnicity, whatever. So yeah, just trust me. You can only trust people who are racist. Anyone else could be lying to try and be right. Anyway, have we got time for the rest? I should probably stop now. There's another one I'm going to have to do a video about. I'll just give the top things that gave me hope for 2026. I think the main thing is that 2025 was the year that women just broke woke and thought, you know, they openly said, I don't care anymore. Like, we'd already seen J.K. Rowling with the transgender stuff. You know, she's already made her money. She doesn't care. She's not, like, fighting for a career. There's nobody waiting in the wings to topple her. She's fine. So she had the strength of will to come out and be an early proponent of saying that people like me aren't women. So we saw that with J.K. Rowling, and she took a lot of slings and arrows. She stepped on a lot of landmines and did it with a lot of class and dignity. Did a great job. And now we're seeing other people come forward, like Keira Knightley came forward and also just dismissed all the transgender stuff the way it should have always been dismissed, just by laughing at it, mocking it. Sydney Sweeney also came forward and just, you know, openly dismissed the accusations of racism and refused to get drawn into, some sort of bullshit apology for, you know, bogus accusations of racism. So I think that's great. I think once you've had a couple of, you know, high-profile women like break the thing like that, you know, women really lead the sort of the conversation and things like this because women talk more, they have more conversations. But women are seen as the sort of, you know, more moral and more, maybe not in Nick Fuentes' comments, but, you know, women are seen as more empathetic and stuff like that. They're also seen as more pathetic. No, they're seen as more empathetic. And so when women who care about stuff come forward, I think, you know, the men feel it's safe to also be like, you know what? Like, I've always thought that as well. Whereas men, you know, a lot of men just want a quiet life. So it's great that the women have come forward and said that. Nick Dixon coined a term. He calls it the ovary window. He says the ovary window is shifting, like a play on words with the Overton window. Oh my God. So the video keeps hanging. Are you serious? Man, I'm so sorry. I thought I got it all sorted out. You know what I think the problem is? Yeah, the video keeps fucking... Oh my God, this is disastrous. I can see it now. What on earth is wrong with this fucking pile of shit? I can't believe this. Whoa. Oh my God, I've got to screenshot these stats. So the average time to render a frame is 30 milliseconds. I've dropped like 20% of frames. I've missed. Oh, this is a cataclysm. This is a disaster, and I can't believe it. This is like in all the trials that I did. It didn't do any of this. Is it just because I had so many things open? So many tabs open? Can you just not have that many tabs open? Man, that's annoying. That's annoying. Oh, it's not disastrous. But I thought this was going to be the one. This was going to be the one that was going to work. And it didn't. Oh, that's annoying. Man. It's not awful, but it's so not a disaster. Oh, that's good. Thank you. It's going to get better. I'm gonna work out what I did wrong. Obviously, set one of the settings. I think setting. You know what? What the hell? I think I've got to keep this like front and center because otherwise. Anyway, yeah, that gave me hope for the new year, and also Ricky Gervais. He's sort of come out swinging, and he just doesn't care. I think people have just. You can see there's a collective relaxing of the sphincter across Western society, and I think it's good. I think Elon Musk has driven a lot of it with Twitter being free to speak on now. So that's given me hope. And my prediction for next year: China is going to seize Siberia. I think the whole Taiwan thing. That's just a red herring. I think they're going to go after Siberia. Manchuria used to be part of China. China can take it. They've already got the people in there. You go to Siberia, not that I've been to Siberia, but you go to Siberia, a lot of the menus and stuff in the fast food places are in Chinese. They've got people there working in the oil and the gas. They're doing a slow, population takeover of it. Sort of like a certain demographic is doing with the UK. Hello. So I think that's what China's going to do. I think it's going to reunite Manchuria, and that'll be Xi Jinping's legacy. And he'll be like, psych, you thought I was going to go after Taiwan? No way. I don't want a war with America, because if they did it, who's going to come in? Like, Russia's not going to be able to stop them because Russia's committed on the Ukraine border. So nobody's going to be able to stop China doing it. And it's got like this incredibly advanced military. Anyway, I'm going to work out what went wrong with my tech this time. But thanks so much for joining me for the stream. I'm going to do a stream between like Christmas and New Year when I get back from Ireland. But if I don't speak to you before then, I hope you have a fantastic Christmas. And I love you very much. Okay, bye. Bye.